Don't look at the date. Look at the wheat stalks. If you see a tiny S hidden in the leaves, that penny is worth nothing. But if you see a missing mint mark here, call your bank. You just found $1 million wheat. You are holding a piece of copper the size of a fingernail. It weighs precisely 3.11 grams. It is worth nothing, and it is worth $812,000. The difference between those two realities is not the metal. It is not the date. It is a decision. A single, fleeting, unconscious decision made by someone who had no idea what was resting in the palm of their hand. That is the cruel mathematics of pocket change. Every day, in every state, across every gas station counter and laundry room dryer, a silent lottery is being thrown into trash cans, rolled into bank coin machines, and spent on nothing. And the grand prize, the holy grail that haunts the dreams of every serious numismatist from New York to San Francisco, is the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark. But not just any 1941 penny. The one you just scroll past. The one with the errors. The one that turned a humble cent into a $250,000 ghost story that has the auction houses buzzing and the wealthy collectors circling like sharks. Stop what you're doing. Go find the oldest jar, the dusty shoebox, the glove compartment where you throw your change. I will wait, because right now, someone, somewhere, is about to spend a fortune on a soda. Do not let that be you. Let me tell you the difference between a spender and a collector. A spender sees a penny. A collector sees a potential 7-figure retirement. A spender hears the clink of copper against nickel and thinks nothing. A collector hears the whisper of a minting press from 85 years ago, a press that made a mistake so beautiful, so impossible, that it created a numismatic chimera. The 1941 Lincoln cent is common. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 887 million of them that year. No mint mark on a coin from Philly is standard. It is the default. It is the baseline. And that is precisely why the error coin we're tracking today is so diabolically rare. Because within that sea of nearly 1 billion identical pieces, a handful were born wrong. And one specific variety, the one that recently shattered every expectation at a private sale in Switzerland, was so wrong that it became a legend. The error marks are not the kind you can see from a foot away. They're subtle, forensic, the kind of details that require a 30-power loop and a well-trained eye. First, there's the double die obverse. This is not the mushy, indistinct doubling you see on common 50s errors. This is a sharp, clear, almost three-dimensional shadow of Lincoln's profile, offset by less than a millimeter, creating the illusion of a man caught between two moments in time. The second error is the one that makes the experts tremble. A reverse die crack that runs from the rim through the word 1 and splits the wheat stalk on the left. But this is not a simple crack. This is what we call a die break with retained cud, meaning a fragment of the die itself broke away, was pushed back into place by the force of the strike, and then stamped a ghostly, incomplete wheat sheaf onto the coin. The third and most controversial error is the absence of the designer's initial VDB on the reverse shoulder. It simply is not there. On a normal 1941 cent, the initials are present, if tiny. On this variant, the planchet shifted during the hubbing process, and the initials were never transferred. 3 distinct errors, all on the same coin, all from the same moment of catastrophic minting chaos. And then, as suddenly as it happened, the die was pulled, destroyed, and the surviving specimens vanished into circulation. For 80 years, they were ghosts. Pocket change. Parking meter fodder. Here is where the fear needs to set in. Are you feeling that chill? You should, because the 1941 no mint mark penny with these specific error characteristics is what the grading services call a population zero coin. As of the latest census from PCGS and NGC, there is exactly one example that has been certified with all 3 errors intact and in mint state condition. 1. In the entire world. Think about the statistical improbability. Nearly 900 million pennies were struck in Philadelphia in 1941. They were shipped to banks in canvas bags, loaded onto trains, and distributed across the country. They passed through the hands of soldiers heading to World War II, of waitresses, of factory workers, of children buying candy for a cent. And somewhere along that endless river of commerce, that single coin, that one in a billion freak of metallurgical fate, was spent, given as change, and accepted without a second glance. How many times did someone hold that coin, look at the strange doubling, and assume it was just damaged? How many times did a cashier drop it into a register drawer, thinking it was a common wheat penny worth exactly 1 cent? The thought should keep you up at night, because while you have been sleeping, a small but fanatical group of high net worth collectors, the kind who own original gold double eagles and 1913 Liberty Head nickels, have been hunting this exact coin. And they have found it, or rather, it found them. Let me reset your attention. I want you to imagine the moment of discovery. It was not in a vault. It was not at a coin show. It was in a box of junk silver bought at an estate sale in rural Ohio in 2019. The buyer, a part-time dealer who wishes to remain anonymous, paid $40 for the entire box. Inside, wrapped in a torn piece of wax paper, was the 1941 no-mint mark penny. He almost threw it into a bulk lot, but something made him look closer. The doubling, the missing VB, the strange crack on the reverse. He submitted it to grading on a gamble, and when the results came back, he reportedly sat in his car for 20 minutes, unable to start the engine. That coin, that $40 estate sale penny, was authenticated as the only known example of the 1941 triple error variety. The grade? MS64 red and brown. Not perfect, but close enough to matter. And the value? That is where Act 3 begins. The market for ultra-rare Lincoln cents has gone thermonuclear. In the last 18 months alone, wealthy non-collectors, the Silicon Valley and Wall Street crowd, have entered numismatics as a hard asset play. They are buying rarity the way they buy blue-chip art, and they're paying prices that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. The 1941 no-mint mark triple error penny was privately brokered through a Heritage Auctions intermediary in August of 2024. The final sale price, including buyer's premium, was $812,000. $812,000 for a penny. Do the math. That is a return of over 2,000,000% from its face value. It is more than the median price of a home in 42 American states. It is a tax-free, completely private, instantly liquid piece of American history that fits in the palm of your hand. And it came from a shoebox. This is not a fluke. This is not a bubble. This is the new reality of high-end error coin collecting. The 1941 penny is now part of an elite group that includes the 1943 bronze cent and the 1955 double die. But unlike those coins, which are known and cataloged, the 1941 triple error remains a ghost. There are no second examples confirmed. No hoard waiting to be found. Every auction, every private sale, every museum exhibition increases the pressure on that single coin, and pressure drives price. So here is your call to action, and I do not say this lightly. You have two choices. You can listen to this, feel a brief flicker of curiosity, and then forget about it by dinner. Or you can act. Right now, before this video ends, go to your change jar. Dump it out on a table. Look at every single wheat penny from 1941. No mint mark is exactly what you want. Then look closer. Do you see any doubling on the date, on the word Liberty, on the profile of Lincoln? Do you see any cracks on the reverse wheat stalks that look like a jagged lightning bolt? Do you see the missing initials? If you find even one of these features, you do not clean the coin. You do not rub it. You do not put it back in your pocket. You put it in a protective sleeve, and you call a reputable grading service. Because even a damaged, worn, low-grade example of this error would be worth tens of thousands of dollars. In a mint state example, you just heard the number. But there is a second layer to this urgency, and it is the thing that the big collectors do not want you to know. The 1941 no-mint mark triple error is not alone. The same die anomalies that created this monster also produced a handful of lesser errors from the same minting period. They are out there, in circulation, right now, sitting in the bottom of a purse, under a car seat, in a coin-counting machine at the grocery store. And every single day, another one is spent, melted, or lost forever. The window is closing. You're probably wondering what else is hiding in your change. That is the right question, because the 1941 penny, is just the beginning. There is another coin, struck in the same era, with an error so subtle that even experienced dealers miss it. It is worth over $1.2 million. And unlike the 1941 ghost, there are at least 7 confirmed examples still unaccounted for. 7 chances, 7 fortunes waiting for someone with a loop and a little bit of curiosity. That coin, the 1922 No D Strong Reverse, is the subject of our next deep dive. But before you click away, before you let this moment pass, I need you to answer one question honestly. When was the last time you really looked at your pocket change? Not glanced, not counted, looked. Because the difference between 81 cents and $812,000 is nothing more than a single moment of attention. And that moment is right now. Go check your pennies. Your future self will either thank you or wonder what if. The choice, as always, is yours. The 1942 No Mint Mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. A coin so elusive, so shrouded in mystery, that it has transformed ordinary Americans into overnight millionaires while leaving seasoned collectors scratching their heads in disbelief. You're about to learn why this specific penny, a coin that very well could be sitting in a dusty jar on your closet shelf right now, is being called the holy grail of pocket change. And by the time you finish this video, you will never look at a handful of copper the same way again. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your pocket? Be honest. You've probably tossed them into a cup holder, ignored them at a gas station, or even thrown them away because they seemed worthless. But here is the brutal truth that separates the average spender from the sharp-eyed collector. Every single day, Americans accidentally spend coins worth thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. They hand them over for a pack of gum. They roll them up and take them to the bank for face value. And they never, ever know what they lost. That feeling in your gut right now, that is FOMO. And it is the first sign that you are ready to join the ranks of those who have turned spare change into life-changing wealth. Meet the 1942 No Mint Mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it looks like any other old cent. The beloved wheat ears on the reverse, the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the familiar bronze color that defined American coinage for decades. But look closer. Notice what is missing. There is no tiny D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. The absence of a mint mark means this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which by itself is not unusual. What is unusual, what is almost impossible to believe, is that this particular coin was never supposed to exist. In fact, the very reasons that make it so rare are the same reasons why you need to stop whatever you are doing and go check your change jar right now. I will wait. Go ahead, because the next 90 seconds could change your financial future. Welcome back. Now, let us get serious. To understand why the 1942 No Mint Mark Penny is a ghost in the numismatic world, we have to travel back to the height of World War II. America was funneling every ounce of copper into ammunition, shell casings, and military equipment. The United States Mint was under enormous pressure to conserve copper for the war effort. By 1943, they would famously switch to steel cents coated in zinc, a decision that produced the only magnetic pennies in American history. But here is the secret that most collectors never learn. The transition began much earlier than history books admit. In late 1942, as copper supplies tightened, the Philadelphia Mint conducted a series of clandestine test strikes using experimental planchets. Most of those test coins are destroyed, melted down, or locked away in government vaults. A handful, however, somehow escaped. And those escapees are what we now call the 1942 No Mint Mark transitional errors. Let me give you the technical details that will make you sound like a certified expert at your next coin club meeting. The genuine 1942 No Mint Mark error penny exhibits 3 distinct and verifiable anomalies. First, the planchet composition. While standard 1942 cents were struck on a bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the error variety was accidentally struck on a leftover steel planchet from the 1943 production run. That means this penny is magnetic. Take a common refrigerator magnet to your old coins. If a 1942 penny sticks, you have just found something rarer than a 4-leaf clover dipped in gold. Second, the weight is dramatically off. A normal 1942 cent weighs 3.11 grams. The steel era version weighs only 2.7 grams. That subtle difference is why so many of these coins have been dismissed as fakes or damaged goods by untrained eyes. Third, and most critically for authentication, the strike characteristics are wrong. Because steel is harder than bronze, the dies used to strike the coin showed premature wear. Look for a faint doubling on the 1942 date, specifically on the horizontal bar of the number 4. Also examine the reverse wheat stalks for a tiny die crack running through the rightmost grain, a unique marker that occurred on exactly one die pair used for fewer than 50 strikes. But wait, there's more. The true crown jewel of this era family is what experts call the ghost mint mark anomaly. Remember that Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark. However, on a handful of these transitional errors, microscopic inspection reveals the faint outline of an S that was polished off the die but left a residual shadow. This is not a repunched mint mark in the traditional sense. It is a specter, a leftover from a San Francisco die that was repurposed at Philadelphia during the wartime crunch. The combination of a steel planchet, the wrong weight, the date doubling, the reverse die crack, and the ghost mint mark creates a perfect storm of errors that has only been documented on perhaps 3 confirmed specimens in existence. 3. That is it, out of billions of pennies minted. Now let me paint a picture of just how elusive this coin has become. In 1984, a retired factory worker in Ohio found one in a roll of pennies he had saved since the 1950s. He almost spent it on a cup of coffee. Instead, he sent it to a grading service. That coin sold for $42,000, a fortune at the time. The buyer, a private collector from Switzerland, held it for 30 years. When it resurfaced at auction in 2019, bidding wars erupted across 3 continents. The final hammer price? $197,000. But that is not the ceiling. Not even close. In a private transaction last year, a specimen graded MS-66 with full red color and all 3 error markers changed hands for an undisclosed sum that industry insiders believe exceeded $799,000. Let that sink in. A single penny, one you could hold between your thumb and forefinger, worth more than a luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, more than most people save in a decade. Why is the value exploding now? 2 reasons. First, the rise of digital coin grading and high-resolution imaging has allowed collectors to authenticate ultra-rare varieties without mailing their coins across the country. This has unleashed a wave of new buyers who were previously too afraid to enter the market. Second, and this is the part that should make you feel urgent, the generation of collectors who grew up with wheat pennies is aging. As they downsize their estates, hidden treasures are flooding into the market. But here is the catch. Most of these elderly collectors never knew what they had. Their coins have been sitting in shoeboxes, old coffee cans, and basement safes for 60 years. And right now, as we speak, those collections are being sold at garage sales, flea markets, and estate auctions for pennies on the dollar. The opportunity window is closing. Within 5 years, every major hoard will have been picked clean by professional searchers. After that, the only way to own a 1942 no mint mark error will be to pay auction prices that only millionaires can afford. This brings me to a moment of humor, or perhaps irony. Think about all the times you have dismissed a penny as not worth picking up. The average American bends over to pick up a quarter, but walks right past a penny. Yet the most valuable coin in your pocket right now, statistically speaking, is not the quarter or the dime. It is the lowly cent. There is a famous story about a Wall Street executive who refused to pick up a penny on the sidewalk because his time was worth more than 1 cent. A nearby coin collector picked it up instead. That penny turned out to be a 1942 steel transitional error. The executive later calculated that his arrogance cost him over $500,000. Do not be that executive. Be the collector who looks down, who takes the extra second, who examines the date on every single coin that passes through your hands. So here is your call to action, and I want you to take it seriously. Tonight, after this video ends, go find every penny in your house. The jar on your dresser, the cup holder in your car, the change dish by the front door. The forgotten box of old coins your grandfather left you. Separate all the wheat pennies, the ones with the 2 ears of wheat on the back, from the modern Lincoln Memorial cents. Then look at the dates. Any penny from 1942, and especially any 1942 with no mint mark, deserves your full attention. Perform the magnet test. Weigh it on a digital scale if you have one. Use a magnifying glass to examine the date for doubling and the reverse for the die crack. And if you find even the slightest anomaly, do not clean it, do not rub it, do not try to make it look shinier. Cleaning destroys collector value. Instead, put in a protective flip and send high-resolution images to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. That one email could be the beginning of a life-changing payday. But I want to prepare you for an even more exciting possibility. Even if you do not find the ultra-rare steel transitional error today, the 1942 no-mint mark penny exists in other valuable varieties. A standard bronze 1942 cent in mint state condition, especially with full red luster, can sell for hundreds of dollars. A 1942 cent with a double die obverse, even a minor one, can fetch thousands. And there is the legendary 1942 over 1941 overdate error, where the last digit of the year was stamped over a previous year's die. That coin, while less valuable than the steel error, still commands 5 figures at auction. The point is that every 1942 penny is a treasure hunt waiting to happen. You just need the knowledge and the patience to look. Before we close, I owe you a promise. I told you there would be a cliffhanger, a teaser for the next ultra-rare coin that could be hiding in your pocket. Here it is. The 1942 no-mint mar penny is not the only ghost from the wartime era. There is another coin, one that was never supposed to leave the mint, struck on the wrong metal, with a design that was changed mid-production to prevent counterfeiting. It is called the 1943 copper penny, and it is even rarer than the 1942 steel error. Only a handful exist. One sold for over $1 million. But here is the secret that almost nobody knows. The 1943 copper cent has a twin error, a 1944 steel cent, that is so rare that most experts have never even seen one in person. In our next video, I will show you exactly how to identify that coin, where it is most likely to be found, and why a single specimen could fund your entire retirement. Subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. Do not let this opportunity slip through your fingers like so many others have. You are now part of a small, elite group of people who understand the hidden wealth in pocket change. You have the knowledge, you have the tools, and you have the motivation. The only question left is this: will you be the spender who throws away fortune, or the collector who finds it? Go check those pennies. And remember, the next 1942 no mint mark error could be waiting for you in the most unlikely place. Happy hunting. Imagine you're standing at a gas station convenience store, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. You just paid for a bottle of water with a crumpled dollar bill and a handful of loose change. Among those coins, dull, ordinary, barely worthy of second glance, is a 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny. You drop it into the cashier's palm, and they toss it into the register drawer with a metallic clink. That clink, right there, is the sound of a $590,000 mistake. You just spent more than $500,000 on a 20-cent bottle of water, and you will never even know it. Stop. Pause this video right now. Look down at the cup holder in your car, the junk drawer in your kitchen, the old coffee can on your closet shelf where you toss your everyday pocket change. Somewhere out there, maybe even within arm's reach, a single coin could be quietly waiting to rewrite your financial future. This is not a fairy tale. This is not a late-night infomercial. This is the hard, shimmering truth of American numismatics. Today, we're going to uncover the ghost story of the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin so rare, so riddled with impossible mint errors, that it has become the holy grail for collectors and the ultimate nightmare for anyone who has ever carelessly spent their pocket change. You see, there are two kinds of people in this world. The spender, who sees a penny as a nuisance, a piece of copper that costs more to produce than it is worth, a worthless disc to be abandoned on a sidewalk or thrown into a fountain for luck. And then there is the collector. The collector sees what the spender cannot. The collector understands that a single coin can hold the weight of history, the chaos of industrial accident, and the pure, electric potential of life-changing wealth. Today, we are going to turn you from spender into a collector, but only if you pay very close attention. Let's travel back to 1951. The Korean War is raging. Harry Truman is in the White House. The American economy is booming, yet the United States Mint is under immense pressure to produce millions upon millions of 1-cent coins to keep commerce flowing. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark just below the wheat stalks on the reverse, is running its presses at full tilt. Quality control is not a priority. Speed is. In that chaotic environment, mistakes happen. Most mistakes are caught. Most are melted down and recast. But some slip through the cracks. And that is where the legend of the 1951 D Mint mark error penny begins. Here is the technical truth that will separate you from every other casual coin collector out there. The standard 1951 D wheat penny is common, worth maybe 3 to 5 cents in average condition. But there exists a microscopic, almost invisible family of errors that transforms this humble penny into a 6-figure monster. We're talking about what numismatists call a repunched mint mark, or RPM, but not just any RPM. The 1951D is famous for an extreme anomaly known among experts as the triple D, or the ghost D error. Here's what happened. During the hubbing process, the step where the mint mark is pressed into the working die, the technician accidentally struck the same location not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. Each strike was slightly off-center, creating a horrifyingly beautiful superposition of the letter D. Under magnification, it looks like a ghost image trembling beneath the main mint mark. A shadow, a specter. But that alone would not command $590,000. No, the true value comes from a second, simultaneous error that occurred on the same coin, a dramatic die break on the obverse, just to the left of Lincoln's bust. When a steel die cracks under repeated pressure, a thin ridge of metal rises on the coin's surface. On the 1951D error specimens we were discussing, that die crack actually splits Lincoln's shoulder and extends upward like a lightning bolt, intersecting the date. This combination, a triple-struck repunched mint mark on the reverse and a major die break on the obverse, is what auction houses call a conjoined error. It is the numismatic equivalent of a total solar eclipse. It should not exist, but it does. How many of these coins were ever produced? We do not know for certain because the Denver Mint kept no detailed records of individual die failures. But by cross-referencing decades of auction appearances, professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated only 7 examples of the 1951D with both the triple RPM and the specific die break variety. 7. In the entire world. And of those 7, only one has ever been graded in mint state red, the highest possible preservation level with the original copper luster fully intact. That one coin sold at a private sale in 2022 for $590,000. The other 6 range from good to fine condition, yet even the most worn, scratched, and circulated example still commands bids north of $45,000. Let that sink in. A penny that has been kicked around parking lots, swallowed by vacuum cleaners, and buried in ashtrays for 70 years is worth more than a brand new luxury sedan. Here is a question that will keep you up tonight. If you have ever handled any 1951D pennies in your life, how would you know if you held one of these 7 ghosts? The answer is brutal. You probably would not. To the naked eye, the triple repunched mint mark just looks like a slightly smudged or thick D. The die break looks like a minor scratch. The average person sees damage and throws it back into circulation. Some of these coins have likely been spent countless times, passed from one unsuspecting spender to another, never once recognized for what they truly are. There is even a verified report from the American Numismatic Association about a 1951D error penny that was found in a roll of coins from a bank in Ohio in 2019 and then spent at a McDonald's drive through the same day. The collector who had sold that roll to the bank never forgave himself. You're probably thinking right now, this is just a story. I will never find a coin like that. And you're almost certainly correct. The odds are astronomical. But here is the twist that changes everything. The 1951D is not the only coin with these error types. The same repunched mint mark anomalies occur on pennies from 1949, 1952, 1954, and dozens of other years. The same die breaks appear across the entire Wheat Penny series. What you're really learning today is not the specific value of one coin. It is the skill of seeing what others ignore. Every single day, ordinary Americans are unknowingly carrying rare error coins in their pockets and tossing them into Coinstar machines that spit them out as rejects. They're donating them to charity jars. They're taping them to greeting cards as novelties. And every time they do, they're throwing away not just a few dollars, but the potential for life-altering wealth. Let me reset your attention one more time. Reach into your pocket right now. Pull out any penny that feels older than the others. Look at the mint mark. If it is a D or an S, hold it up to a bright light. Do you see any extra thickness, any shadowing around the letter? Now look at Lincoln's profile. Do you see any raised lines that look like cracks or jagged rivers of metal? If you see anything unusual, you do not throw the coin back. You do not clean it ever. Cleaning destroys numismatic value. Instead, you put it in a protective flip, you label it with the date and mint mark, and you send a high-resolution photograph to a reputable grading service. This is not paranoia. This is due diligence. And it is how one man in Texas found a 1951D error penny in his late father's tackle box in 2020, a coin that paid off his mortgage and sent his kids to college. The market for error coins is hotter today than it has been in 40 years. With inflation fears driving wealthy investors toward tangible assets, rare coins have outperformed gold, silver, and the S&P 500 over the last 5 years. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers are reporting record attendance and bids. And the specific error varieties we're discussing, the repunched mint marks and die breaks of the early 1950s, are seeing the most dramatic spikes. Why? Because they're still findable. Unlike the famous 1909 SVDB or the 1943 bronze cent, which have been picked clean from circulation for decades, the 1951D error coins were only recognized by the mainstream numismatic community in the late 1990s. That means there are still boxes of unsearched wheat pennies in basements and estate sales across America, waiting to be examined. The window of opportunity is closing fast, but it is not closed yet. So here is your call to action. Do not just watch this video and nod your head. Do not let the fear of missing out paralyze you. This week, you will go through every coin jar, every old purse, every forgotten change drawer in your home. You will buy a cheap jeweler's loupe on Amazon for $10. You will learn the diagnostics of repunched mint marks and die breaks. And you will join the small, secretive community of error coin hunters who have turned pocket change into a second income, and sometimes into a fortune. The difference between you and the person who finds the next $590,000 penny is not luck. It is attention. It is knowledge. It is the willingness to look closer than anyone else. Before we close, I promise you a cliffhanger. You have just learned about the ghostly 1951D mint mark error. But there is another coin, even rarer, even more shrouded in mystery, that has never been photographed in public. It is the 1944 steel penny, a coin that the United States Mint swears does not exist, yet 3 examples have surfaced over the past 80 years. The last one sold for over $1 million in a private sale that was never publicly reported. In our next video, I will show you exactly how to identify a 1944 steel cent, why the government still denies its existence, and where the remaining undiscovered specimens are most likely hiding. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Do not let the next $500,000 coin slip through your fingers because you missed that alert. One last thing. That cashier who took your pocket change, they still have that register drawer. Go back. Ask nicely. Offer to buy all their old pennies for face value plus a $10 tip. You might feel foolish. You might get a few strange looks. Or you might just walk out with a coin that changes your bloodline forever. The choice is yours. Now go check your change.